October 13th, 2021 regular meeting of the Board of Selectmen will come to order. We'd like to invite everybody to join us in the pledge.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So first item on the agenda, we have interviews for Ledgely Health District. Jean Pfeiffer, if you want to come down, you're welcome to sit here. Is that fine with you? And we'll each have one question for you. And then after that, we'll move on to planning and zoning, and we'll do Andy and then Marge. Thank you. Jean, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you very much for your interest in serving. Jeff, you want to take the first question?
Thanks for coming, Jean. First question is, we would like to know what pertinent experience you have serving on a board, commission, or in another volunteer capacity. And in responding, please expand on what roles you played and what impact you had.
Well, right now, I'm fairly new to being on the commissions and various things in town. Recently retired, really didn't have the time before to do it. Now I do. So I'm on the Waterfront Commission, which is headed by Sandy Grimes. And it's, without a doubt, one of the most interesting commissions in town, I gotta tell you right now. The fishermen can get a little vocal. And I'm working on a project right now with them, looking into the various waterfront locations in Stonington to make sure they're still accessible for the public. The main reason I wanted to be on that board was to make sure that as many accessible areas as we have are kept that way. I didn't want to see the docks turned into condos, so don't get any ideas, ladies. And I am on a not-for-profit. I'm the treasurer, actually, of an organization called Vamos. We have 10 community centers down in Mexico, and we're a $3 million not-for-profit, so I'm pretty familiar with what's involved with running large organizations and how the funding should be spent, and asking questions, just not accepting, budgets, let's say. I'm also on the Medical Reserve Corps with Ledgely. When COVID broke out, my wife and I decided we didn't want to just sit around and hide in our house. So I called up Ledgely. I started doing contact tracing with them. And then we got involved in doing the clinics, various vaccination clinics. And I wrote a picture. Here we are. Okay. That actually made the government publication they had. We do the food banks also on Saturdays with Chef Tom. We did between 400 and 500 meals one day. And I did want to give you an idea. Every time I talk about Vamos, it's like pictures really say more than I can ever express. Right now, because of the epidemic down there with COVID, we're offering meal boxes to our people. And for $10, folks, you can feed a family for 2 weeks down in Mexico, just so you know. And we've also started doing small loans for women, so they can put roofs over their houses now, so they don't have to have water coming in on their mattresses. We have computer classes. We started about almost 35 years ago, and we're still running strong. We have computer classes now. We have doctors that rotate between our 10 community centers. We're hoping to set up another special medical center. We have a community center for the elderly, which is my absolute favorite, and go down there to visit. And of course, the children. We do a lot of teaching and a lot of meal prep. We only hire people from the community. We don't just give people money. We go to these poor communities, and we have a director down there, and he'll say to them, if you want us to come and help you, you have to understand, we'll supply the room, or we'll buy the property, but you're going to have to build it. You're going to have to do the teaching. You'll have to do the cooking. And so that's how that's operated. And that's one thing I've learned from Vamos if you're running an organization, you want to be able to go directly to the people and say, what is it you need? That's actually how we got started. My wife's stepfather went down to a bunch of people that were working at the market down there, street vendors, and he said, what is the one thing that you would need if you could have one thing? And they said a bathroom, because nobody would let them use their bathrooms in the shops. So he rented a bathroom. And from this bathroom and this empty space, we now have 10 community centers. We do tens of thousands of meals a year. And we've built our company up to $3 million.
That's great.
Now what that has to do with Ledge Light, I don't know. Thank you for letting me talk about bombs.
That's actually the next question. But do you want to get his pictures?
Yeah, I have them right here. So
Yeah,
I'll go back.
I do that.
You want to do the next question?
Yeah, so the next question is what is your opinion of the responsibilities and primary function of the Red Light Health District Board?
I have such respect for those people after working at their clinics. I don't think, well, I don't know, but I can't imagine that you understand how much work they put in behind the scenes down there. They have, out of all the health districts in Connecticut, many of them were having difficulty getting volunteers. They had to have the National Guard come in and help them out with these clinics. Ledge Light had between 300 and 400 volunteers. And quality people, I mean, nurses, doctors, retired. So, my opinion, they're the best. That's why I want to be on this.
You don't think they sleep?
Yeah, we don't sleep.
Yeah,
Just
well,
work.
it's incredible the amount of updates that they've given us in the, yeah, so.
Well, thank you. I think we kind of sum this up, but maybe just any final things you want to leave us with about kind of how your personal or professional experience or certain skill sets that you bring to the Ledge Light Board.
Well, besides being on the board of Vamos, and besides living in town and having the time and ability, I think, to do a lot of these things, my background was mostly in sales, and I was also a importing, exporting director of operations for a company that did low vision devices. So I understand, I have, I think, pretty good organizational skills. I've managed customer service departments, warehouses, importing, exporting. I'm not afraid to ask questions. If I look stupid, so be it. I'm going to ask a question. You know, I'm too old to care. So.
That's great. Any follow-up? And any questions for us?
No, I think we're all set.
Thank you so much. I mean, I think,
Thanks, Jean. Thank you.
yeah, without you and others serving on all these different boards and commissions, we would not be as strong as a community. So thank you
Oh,
for
I'm a
stepping up. You're a constable.
you're a
You're a
constable.
second constable.
Almost
You
forgot.
actually do a lot of work as a constable. You work in the farmers markets for us, trying to raise money for veterans, keep them out there.
Hey, one does what one can, right, folks?
Yeah.
Thank you, Jean, very much. Thank you. So next we'll ask Andy Meek to come up. So this is for interviews for the Planning and Zoning Commission for the 2 alternate seats. We did 1 interview at the last meeting, and then we have 2 more to do. We'll be making a decision after this meeting. Andy, thank you so much for taking the time to come out. So we just have, again, same kind of thing, 3 questions for you. Maybe we'll mix up the time. And June, do you want to start?
Yeah, so my first question, I mean, they're the same questions, but we would like to know a pertinent experience you have serving on boards, commissions, or in another volunteer capacity, and in responding, please expand on what roles you've played and what impact you've had, if any.
Sure. So my experience with boards and commissions at the municipal level started in Sterling, Connecticut when I lived up there. I was actually the chair of the Ag Commission shortly after it was formed up there, and during the time that I was chairing it, we developed a right to farm ordinance, which was adopted by the town, and we worked on a lot of contributions to the POCD, which was being developed at the time. And after those things were said and done, being a bunch of farmers who didn't really know what we were doing on the commission, we just set up different promotional events to raise awareness about all the different farms that were in town. And then after moving down to Stonington, I served on the Stonington Ag Commission for a time. And during my time there, I was, an alternate member. We just don't remember any significant accomplishments that we made during the time that I was with them.
It's a significant accomplishment just to get everybody together.
Yeah, just to get farmers in one room together is a pretty good accomplishment. Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Deb, can you do the next one?
Sure. Again, same question as last time. What is your opinion of the responsibilities and primary function of the Planning and Zoning Commission?
I would think that the Planning and Zoning Commission is responsible for overseeing a certain sort of harmony that exists within the town, whether it's the ability of residential homeowners to conduct activities on their property or to restrict those activities so that their neighbors don't go wild on them, and also, to be thoughtful about how, the business and commercial side of the town is developed as we go forward, so that we maintain the sort of wonderful seaside/rural character that the town has, while still balancing that with the huge tourism attractions that we have in this town.
And again, just in summary, anything that you wanted to touch on about your personal or professional experiences that you think would be an asset to being on planning?
I think I'm good at hearing all sides of the situation, just in general, and taking into account all the factors that go into making decisions at the municipal level, and kind of leaning more towards what is needed for everybody rather than what my own personal opinions are at times. Sorry, I'm a little spacey. I'm still getting over a cold.
No, don't worry.
Is there any-
You're doing great, yeah,
This
because
makes a lot of sense. No, this is great. So no, thank you. Do you have any questions for us or?
I don't think so. I've spoken to Ben Gilbert a little bit about what would be entailed with the position, and I feel comfortable with it. I'm not retired, but I am staying home to take care of my kids for the next few years, and this would be a great time for me to do something like this.
Thank you so much for your position and for your willingness to get involved and serve, and so we really appreciate it.
My
Any other
pleasure.
questions? So like you said, we'll interview Mark, and then at the next meeting we'll be making a decision, so we'll be sure to do that.
Okay.
Thank you, and you're welcome to stay for go, so that's really an issue.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Mark, you're up next.
Danielle, can you introduce them to us? We don't know who you are.
What?
Can you introduce them to us?
Yep, so they're on the agenda, but
Oh, they are?
Andrew Meek and then
Oh,
Marjorie
okay.
Salinger. Right, are they on the?
yeah,
Yep, yep.
None of mine. None of ours.
The names aren't listed.
What?
The names aren't listed
Oh,
on
those
the.
aren't listed, okay. So yeah, Andrew Meek and then Marjorie Salinger. And that was
Okay.
Eugene Piper, or Gene Piper.
Thank you very much.
Thanks. So Mark, same with the question. Deb, do you want to go first?
Sure. Thanks, that's fine. We'd like to know what pertinent experience you have serving on a board, commission, or another volunteer capacity, and in responding, please expand on the roles you played and what impact you feel that you have.
So I don't currently serve on any commissions or anything like that. However, I do work for a developer outside of Boston, and I work very closely with the Planning and Zoning Board in the communities that we work in up there. So I'm usually on kind of the other side of the table, but since then I've realized that you're talking to these people who are so passionate about their towns and things like that, and really want to make a difference and make sure everything's fair, and I just realized that it's something that I also am so passionate about Stonington. It's something I also wanted to bring to my community, in my opinion, and to help other people as well. So yeah, so this would kind of be my first step into joining the community and working and, my first step into joining a commission.
It's probably an easy question for you if you've been working with planning and zoning commissions, but what is your opinion of the responsibilities and primary function of the planning and zoning commission?
Well, yeah, it's certainly opened my eyes working with them, how much they do. And it's a lot of pressure and it's a lot of work. But yeah, we just work very closely with, for us, it's mostly commercial and residential, with what we're developing. So just, helping kind of manage, everything that's coming through, making sure that it's fair, you're keeping your personal bias aside and you're looking forward to what's going to be best for the community and helping our community grow and all of that, so.
And then again, just in closing, kind of any other sort of professional or personal experiences or skill sets that you want to let us know about as the research for planning and zoning?
Well, not to be a broken record. But yeah, like I said, it's my current job now. I realize that, I love working with the communities that we're in. And I see their passion and, I see that they want to make a better future for their communities. And because of that, I've realized that I really want to help do that and also maybe bring out kind of a fresh perspective, to Stonington, as, you know, the board's been amazing, but a younger opinion, someone who works in the industry and works on the other side of that table a lot. So yeah, happy to bring that here.
Thank you. And then do you have any questions for us? If you guys have solid questions?
I'm excited. Now I think I'm all good.
So I just have one more
Yeah.
question. So meetings are usually a regular meeting and a special meeting twice a month
Yep.
at 7 o'clock. They can go until they're kicked out of district office.
I've been to many.
Okay, so that's not at all.
That's not an issue.
Okay.
No, yeah, I'm very familiar with the schedule and, some are longer than others and, yeah, absolutely understand.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great, thank you.
Very much. Thank you all for your willingness to get involved. And like I said, you're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting. So you also don't have to stay. We won't hold it against you. So thank you guys. So just before we move to comments from the public, I'd like to get a motion just to move one of the comments that we usually do at the end to the start. Just because I love to think that you're all here just to engage, but I feel like it might be helpful. I don't want to make everybody stay to the very end of the meeting when we do our comments, which we'd love for you to stay and hear everything we're going to talk about, but also knowing you're all busy people. So I think it might be helpful just to move one quick comment to the front. So could I get a motion to just move one first selectman comment from the back of the meeting to the front?
So,
A second, I have a question.
Yeah.
That for all of us?
I was going to do just for me, and that way we could go into more detail for people who want to stay at the end and hear all of our updates of all the other things going on. Is that okay?
Okay.
Okay. Hopefully people will stay. We all encourage you to stay, but we have a lot to say. So yeah, we encourage you to stay, but just in case you're just here for your own public comment.
Okay.
All right, second.
Yeah, all right, I seconded, but that was my question, so
All
we
those in
favor, aye.
So I just wanted to take a quick moment just to reflect on the historic vote that took place last Tuesday and provide a really brief update. So I really just want to say that I've since communicated with Wind Development that given the results of the vote and the great importance of respecting our democratic process, the town will not be pursuing any alternative funding options to make up for the funding requested as part of the fixed assessment. With that said, we do not know what Wind will do moving forward, but of course, as soon as we get any information, we'll update the community along the way. I also just wanted to add that no matter what side of the project any of us are on, I hope we can all, including I know I have taken away some reflections that will make us stronger as a community. And we hope, I think, that people will choose to take the time to engage. It's great that you guys are here to enhance our dialogue, not just debate, but dialogue, and help us identify solutions to the challenges we face as a community and the opportunities before us. That's really all I wanted to say. And like I said, in the agenda, we will be talking about a few ideas that we've actually been working on for probably, almost 2 years now on that communication and dialogue front. So we encourage you to stay, but you can't, we understand, but also just to be sure everyone knows you don't have to wait for a Board of Selectmen meeting to engage. Stacy and I'm happy to meet anytime at Town Hall, even outside of Town Hall hours, and, I'm sure Deb and June are also happy to meet outside of hours. We know these meetings set up to be formal and awkward and not be great for discussion and dialogue, so please know you can reach out anytime, and that's why we're here, to hear, to listen, and to engage with you. So, enough from me. Now we'll move on to comments from the public, and just as a reminder, if you wanna, come up or stand up so we can hear you, just say your name and your address for the record.
Full name, not just first name.
Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Leslie Driscoll. I live at 59 William Street in Pawcatuck. And I just wanted to comment on architecture in the town. And this is piggybacking on the Campbell Green project. I'm also on the Architectural Design Review Board. So I wanted to read a brief architecture statement from Paul Azanero for the project that he submitted for the Brookside Phase 2, which is right next door in the field, that's been approved by the town. The new building, this is just part of his assessment. The new buildings with pitched roofs and articulated facades are designed to contribute to and be in harmony with Stonington's unique architectural heritage while introducing a fresh coastal multifamily design perspective. Simply stated, a new era in housing requires new design implementations. Phase 2 will provide residents with an enhanced quality of life, better transition, and integrate the development into the community. It offers a unique opportunity for Stonington to uphold and respect our greatest New England assets, its historical architectural vernacular. We are fortunate here to have our great predecessors, the likes of Henry Hobson Richardson, later Peabody and Stearns, and many other prior practicing firms, all brought us to the Gilded Age and beyond. We see significant resemblances throughout our region with examples of very talented regional design works and architectural treasures. We are reminded that our choices in selection of current materials are enhanced by color, texture, and materials timeless in nature. Inherently beautiful, yet practicality and longevity have brought us another new and must-have materials that rise to the quality and standards of our community. So my main point is that design matters in architecture for the quality of life for the residents and for the community engagement of the residents. And my biggest objection to the Campbell Green project was that it was warehouse housing. It looked like a hotel on any highway interchange around the country. It did not meet the PB5 zoning requirements, and it did not fit into the coastal architectural nature of our community. So I just want us all to kind of keep in mind, architecture is permanent. It's a huge responsibility of an architect to put a building on the landscape, and it affects generations to come. You can't just take it down. So, thank you for listening.
Thank you, thanks, Jen. Anyone else? Jane?
My name is Janice Ming, and I live at 18 William Street. Could you mind coming? Sure. I can't hear you. I lecture with a mask on, so I think I can speak, but I'll just come closer. Okay, thanks. So my name is Janice Mink, and I live at 18 William Street. And I agree with everything Leslie said. I feel a little bit alone in my protest against the Green Mill site, because I seem to be the only person who really emphasizes the floodplain and global warming and climate change and the effect of that on this particular site. So if we're thinking architecture is forever, or architecture is for 70 years or something, or more, some of our buildings are older, we're definitely not going to have a building there that long because of this global warming situation. And it's a science thing. So you're an environmentalist. Maybe you can comment on whether or not you believe in that or not. But I've talked to a lot of people, scientists from UConn and other people, and they are like, yeah, we do not understand why buildings are still being planned for the front. So that's my comment. I could say more, but that's my main comment.
Thank you, Janet. I think, like we touched on, it'd be great to have follow-up on that discussion point, because it's something for the whole town and a big shift in the way we need to look and address things. So let's not have that discussion end today.
Oh, no, and actually, if you stay to the end, I'm the liaison for the Climate Change Task Force, and I do have a firm note to report, so.
Anyone else want to make a public comment? I don't want anybody else going once. Oh, Lisa, Matt, I'll go first.
Given the topics that have gone on, Matt Bedoyan at 18 Johnson Street in Pawcatuck, also on Mystic Knot Work. Totally different topic than what the room wants, but I just wanted to take a moment to thank you for leadership and guidance with the COVID situation for the last 18 months or so. As one of the 12 most restricted towns in the state, I think you did well balancing the risks and needs for the community, both as a resident and as a business. I'm watching Legislate closely and watching those, and our numbers are doing better than the ones around us, which is really good without being as restrictive as some of them. And I just, you catch a lot of flack for a lot of things and a lot of reasons. You need some praises once in a while too. So I thank you all for your service and helping out.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Means a lot. Thank you.
Lisa Kennedy, 296 River Road, Pawcatuck. Just want to publicly thank EDC members and encourage them to hang in there, okay? They're volunteers. They put a lot of time into the work that they do. They have excellent intentions. I work in my professional career as chamber director with EDCs in Richmond, Rhode Island, Hopkinton, Stonington, and Westerly. And I can tell you that the leadership, Dave Hammond particularly, but the leadership of the EDC, they are well-intentioned individuals, they're professionals, and they felt they were doing a good thing. They were led initially by a competent staff person, Jason Vincent, who went out and recruited proposals, and this was one proposal out of 10 or 12 he tried to solicit. And when he brought it to them, they felt that had some credibility, it had been somewhat vetted by their town trusted professional, and they felt excited to be able to address a very important topic in our community, which is expanding housing opportunities for all. They went through the public process, there were multiple meetings, and whether or not people knew about them, came, whatever, the process was transparent, and there were opportunities for people to speak out about the many legitimate concerns that we're hearing about. I respect everyone's concern. What does trouble me is the level of vitriol on social media that some residents feel is appropriate to go to personally attack the volunteers that I have come to know as very mild-mannered, decent people that have given up a lot of their time, and to have people write things saying they're lining their pockets, to call them names, or do all kinds of other things. It is grossly unfair. And I would think we're better than that as a town. And I would just ask that people in general take into consideration these people have families, they live here, they go to church here, they shop here, and they deserve better because their heart was in the right place. And I know they took a meeting off just to kind of reset button and probably, lick their wounds a little bit because they're frustrated. They probably felt like, my God, if we knew it was this level of discontent, we wouldn't have got this far. Where was everybody in the process along the way? But whether you like the vote or not, you gotta respect the vote and you gotta respect the voters. And while they are not trained PR professionals, they are not. Their heart was in the right place. And so I just wanna, again, thank them, and if they're here or if they're listening or if they get this, I hope that they stick with the town, because good help is very hard to find, and this is one of the best EDCs in my 25-year career. And as a side note, The recent commentary that I've been reading of people saying, well, now they're gonna pull the wool over our eyes on exit 90. I would just like people to know that I attend the Zoom meetings about exit 90. They've been going on for months. Not only does that subcommittee of the EDC want public input, they were giving out gift certificates to basically pay people to take the survey. I have those surveys in my car at all times. I'm ridiculous handing them out to people, and I'm not even on the EDC. Those members have had meetings to talk about how can we get the word out, what communications can we use. The only reason there was even a letter, an article in the paper about Exit 90 is because they decided to put it in the paper in an attempt to get more people to fill out the survey. So don't anyone dare say that this EDC was trying to pull the rug out of anyone's eyes, or that there's anything nefarious going on here, because that could not be further from the truth. So put the pitchforks down, put Campbell Green in the rearview mirror, and give them a break, and attend the meetings. You're invited. Don't wait till the 9th hour. It's a waste of time, money, and it gets to this point where it's an us against them, and we are better than that. Hope everyone fills out the survey. You've been invited.
Any other comments? Okay, yeah, do you want to go and,
Just quick.
when you say your name and
Yep,
time?
Michael Baca, I live on 2 Maple Street, and I totally agree with everything Lisa said, and I agree with you, Danielle. We have to respect town leadership, we have to respect the vote. We want the town to come together, but at the same time, to see that comments like we played on people's fears, or, a certain side played on people's fears, and to see the EDC say that the vote is shameful, I agree we should respect the town, but I wish that the town would afford us the same respect. And I think for the most part they do, but to read that day article was a little disappointing.
Thanks for sharing that. I think,
Oh,
no,
sorry.
okay, Ben, go first.
Ben Tansey, yeah, just to respond to Lisa and to Mike. They, 2,764 people, Ben Tansey, 2,764 people voted to overturn the vote of the town meeting. People from across political parties and across geographic areas in town, for many different reasons. Everybody that voted against the tax abatement, the fixed assessment tax abatement. Please remember that. And that's all it was about. And the town meeting was the first opportunity to weigh in on that. Second opportunity was through a petition, and third was through the referendum.
I can't hear
You can't hear?
No, I cannot.
I'm just saying that the reason that these people voted, every one of them, was against the tax abatement. And there's been language that, from town hall, that the people are misinformed. The chairman of the EDC's comments, shameful, is in itself shameful. And just remember that the vote was about the tax abatement, and that's all it was. Thank you.
Sandra, go ahead with your name and address.
Linda Camilio, resident of Pawcatuck, and full disclosure, I am the tax collector. Also, full disclosure, I was not for this project or against this project. I agree with, what's your name? Leslie, I agree with Leslie totally, about the architecture. Architecture matters. I also am opposed to all affordable housing or workforce housing being in Pawcatuck. On the other hand, I know that we need, the town as a whole needs more affordable housing. But as far as misinformation goes, Ben, you of all people know, a fixed assessment is completely different than a tax abatement. It's completely different. So that's what the misinformation is about. A tax abatement is when you release someone from their taxes. A fixed assessment is completely different. It's when you just keep
We
the
can argue
assessment
this
the
one
same.
out.
But either way, the point is all the people that opposed it, which is fine. I mean, I was more against the misinformation than the opposition or the people in favor. I went back today and looked through 2 years of, EDC minutes, okay? 2 years, and of all the people that opposed it, in 2 years, they did not attend one EDC meeting, except for Laura did attend one on February 4th, 2020. So, I mean.
I was there then.
Oh, okay, well, I didn't see your name there, but anyway, I believe that. But anyway, usually they listed the opponent, the guests, and I didn't see your name. But either way, in 2 years, I didn't see, any of the people that were there, and I just don't understand how they could have an informed opinion about this project when they didn't bother to attend meetings for 2 years when Campbell Grain was discussed at every turn.
It's simply not true.
And that's all I have to say. Well, I read all the meetings, I read this for 2 years. And I'm saying EDC.
Maybe our presence wasn't recorded on the Zoom meeting.
And I think maybe to Linda's point about, communication and engagement, we are gonna talk about something later in the meeting, that we have a few ideas of how on our side we can continue to improve communication.
One
So-
10-second comment, if I could, just about the EDC meetings. One thing that I wanted to say was, I think that a big improvement between the public and the EDC would be if they didn't have so many meetings. They have meetings whenever they want. You know, a special meeting, and they post an agenda 24 hours in advance, and they have a meeting. Planning and zoning, as you said, meets twice a month, a very
I think,
specific
yeah,
schedule.
And then that's something we can all deeper dive on, but I know from experience there, it's because everyone's trying to follow the FOI laws, and even to get 3 people together to brainstorm how we move forward with the project, they have to have a meeting, and they wanna be transparent and have it in the minutes, so they have, as Lisa spoke to, these special meetings, so they have different subcommittees who are working on different areas, and just compared to Groton, we hired someone recently who's our director of economic and community development. She's commented, in Groton, she had 4 people working on that. Here, it's just her. So we utilize the EDC, as have past administrations, to really help. And again, if there's concerns about a certain committee project or subcommittee, or we want to engage more, I think it's completely fine to say, look, you seem to be meeting in the mornings, I'd like to attend. I think they'd be more than willing to change those times, but again, we just need that engagement and dialogue. But I think for them to be productive, they have to, Andy referenced this before, I was on a EDC subcommittee where we focus on farms and fishermen, and we have to have special meetings, just me and one other person, just so we could get through kind of what we wanted to do to prepare to, write a letter of support, or engage with the fishermen on a certain topic. So I think to move things forward, you can't wait to just one meeting a month. You have to meet, just like any of us would in our normal jobs, or because it's government work, they have to follow all the FOI laws, which I think is good and it's transparent. But if it's the timing or something, it's something we can all talk about.
P&Z has a pretty full docket with 2 meetings a month, and they have to pull up.
Any other comments or questions? And just to Mike Vaca's point, I do hear you, and again, I think at Lisa said, emotions are high sometimes, and like we said, I think sometimes we're so busy debating each other that we're not really listening. And my point, just I can speak for myself about kind of some of the discipline or misinformation, was about very specific things, like the fact that we've heard people repeating that there's openings at all these affordable housing places in town, and we know as a fact the data point is a 2-month to 2-year wait list at any place. We keep tabs on that. We have an amazing team at Human Services. So I should have been more specific and not generalized it, and I definitely took learning lessons from this experience. I know I'll work to improve on, and we need that feedback, because none of us are perfect. Obviously, I make mistakes every day. But we need that feedback. And yeah. The Fresno, which is amazing redevelopment, that's a 5-year wait. But it's a point well taken, and we'll try and be more careful in our word choices. Okay, if not, and again, everybody, we hope you stay, because we do have a lot of good things I need to talk about, but also understand that you have dinner and other things to get to. So thank you, we hope to be attending. So could I get a motion to approve the joint WPCA Board of Selectmen special meeting minutes of September 20th, 2021?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
Any discussion?
So I think that meeting was absolutely fantastic, and I I don't know if Deb, you're gonna give an update on the amount of sewage that was released, so we can at least have some tie-ins. All right, that's all I wanted
I
to
was just
say.
gonna make a couple comments on that later on, but yeah.
All right.
Any further discussion?
No.
On the meeting, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Can I also get a motion to approve the regular Board of Selectmen meeting minutes of September 22nd, 2021?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
I second.
A motion second. Any discussion?
Those are the corrections.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. So under correspondence, we received an application from Patricia Cohen, who's interested in serving on the Police Commission. And so we will likely be interviewing her at the next meeting. And then we received correspondence from Rick Newton on behalf of the Climate Change Task Force outlining their capital improvement and budget request for 2022-23. The information has been forwarded to the Civic Committee and Finance Department, and I'm sure Jim will give a broader update there in comments. Then under reappointment and appointments, could I get a motion to appoint Robert Hollis as an alternate member of the Shellfish Commission?
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
A second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you to Robert for his interest in this wonderful commission. We do some really great work. All right. So now could I get a motion to reappoint Robert Guzzo and Jean Pfeiffer to the Waterfront Commission?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion?
No, just thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Jean's a newer member and Bobby is a fantastic, he's a fisherman, local fisherman, does great work on the commission. We actually just met this week, for other things, but they're a great team, so thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. No old business, let's do that. So under new business, I just wanted to plant a seed and maybe we could talk in more detail at the next meeting. But this is actually something that I started working on a year ago about trying to look at how we could have a community discussion series, and then things got busy and we weren't sure if we still really needed it, and then everything that happened recently, we thought it really is maybe a great time to try this out. So essentially we've looked at, other communities, and other options, but basically in concept, it would be a community dialogue series where we, as the Board of Selectmen, again, just because to be legal, we have to list it as a special Board of Selectmen meeting, but once a month to hold a more informal Board of Selectmen meeting for a community discussion. And we could potentially start out with a broader topic, and then move into more specific questions, such as maybe things about high density housing or about sustainability and building and flood zones. We could get input from the community on the specific topics, and whether we do address it in 1 month or make it a 2-part discussion. We also thought we could rotate the time so that way different people could attend. So some could be more of a morning, early thing, some could be more afternoon, and some could be evening, and we could rotate it each month. The PNC already offered to host it for us, the Pawtucket Neighborhood Center. So we thought their meeting room is much better than this, because again, the setup is it's not great for dialogue. So we have round tables where we could kind of split up and work and communicate and talk with the different members of the community who come out. We also thought we could engage a moderator. So we've been we're going to reach out to Human Services again, if you guys like this idea. Reach out to Human Services and maybe one of their counselors we could enlist to help us moderate a discussion, or find another kind of neutral sort of moderator, facilitator. And again, we think if we do a few and then we get feedback from anyone who wants to participate, we can really evolve it over time. But again, just in doing the research and looking at it, the thing that kept coming up is about how important dialogue is to kind of motivate ourselves to work towards a more common vision and understanding and kind of bring us together. And I think, we're in such a polarized time, and we were reading some research, and on one hand it shows that Democrats and Republicans are not just viewing the other party as opponents, but as a threat to the nation's well-being. And then we're seeing this isn't just true when it comes to political parties. We're seeing this within groups of people. A Gallup poll came out just last week that public trust in government, local officials is at an all-time low in history since they started doing these polls. And what's maybe even more alarming, the trust that we as residents and citizens have in each other is also at an all-time low. So this is part of a national problem, and we just thought maybe it's just a small thing, but maybe we can do something here in Stonington to help address it and move us forward. And it's a very small step, but having some community dialogue, some dedicated time not to debate each other, to move the conversation off of online and to in person, could be a start. Again, not trying to be naive that we're going to fix everything, but I think it could be a promising place to start. So want your guys' input, and since we've never had this many people here, just encourage you to reach out to us, book a meeting, give me a town hall or a call, and give your input on this idea. Again, it's kind of at its infancy stage, but we'd love to get it going for next year.
So my question
Yeah.
is, okay, because it'd be a special meeting. So mine is just all about the Freedom of Information Act and notification of agenda items and really how broad can we be on an agenda item so that different topics can be brought up that we may not have anticipated, so that it can be an open dialogue. So I'd just like to have,
Written.
I would just like to have some type of guidelines on how we do that.
You can get a written opinion from the town attorney, but
Yeah.
we do, if there is a way, and we'll just be sure we do it to the
Okay.
letter of the law.
Right, because you don't, I mean, because it would be, well, on K through 12, Deb and I were on K through 12 for a while, and we had many special meetings, and we had to really stick to the agenda. And one way around that was just have a two-page agenda with everything possible on it, and that could be a little too detailed, but yeah, I just want to have the proper guidelines so that we can do this. I'm all for it. I think the more people can talk is great, and I was just at a meeting at the neighborhood center for the Commission on Aging, and it's roundtables, and it's, yeah, well, it's just more, open dialogue when people are sitting around the table, which is why the schools went to roundtables in the cafeteria, so, but, yeah.
So, I also really support it, I think it's a great idea, and my question was similar to June's, like, how do we just, like, would the first meeting be kind of brainstorming for future meetings? And
Yes.
I wonder how we can do away with that, although if it's a brainstorming session for topics for future meetings, because, how do we select the many topics I can think of?
Yeah. Well, those are good questions. I love the Strong Towns podcast and website, and they have often really great questions posed. I don't we can pull some from there, but you're going to want to be sure it's relevant for everybody here and timely, and maybe run the budget season. We'll do some more focus on kind of budget and how that process can unfold for these other issues, but we want to be sure we're trying to have topics the residents want to engage on. So yeah, we'll find out what the town attorney and how we notice it to be sure it can be all encompassing.
And then have a way that if people have an idea, that they can formulate it,
Yeah.
so we can, try to get that.
Yeah.
No, I think that's
I mean,
good.
this is at its early stages, so give us feedback, and I think we could shape this into something even better than this initial concept phase.
That's way to go.
All right, thanks for the feedback. Well, I'll do more homework research, we can talk more about it next time, but I didn't want to move on it without knowing if you guys like the idea or not.
I like that.
So on the topic of communication, as you guys know, but maybe not everyone here, we did establish just about 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, a public communications ad hoc committee. We had our close to final meeting recently. They're gonna stay, we're not gonna disband them yet because they voted to stay together, just so as we work on maybe some other recommendations, they could still provide some feedback or reflection, maybe do a follow-up survey of residents. But just to say, the kind of, obviously the point of creating the communication task force was to think about how we can improve the way we communicate with residents. And I say it was so helpful because the very first thing we did was our own survey internally of kind of how do we communicate, what are all the different ways we do it, kind of compile the whole inventory. If you haven't looked now on the town website, we have a new tab that says communication, and you can click in there and it gives a great overview. There's also both a PDF and a more interactive one where you can see all the different ways that the town communicates, ranging from the kind of different Facebook pages. Like Human Services has a bunch of subset pages for kind of Stonington Works, Stonington Supports, all these different subsets. Everbridge alerts, which are so important for emergency alerts, all the different things. I won't go into it, but it was great to see it and to collect it and to realize how many different things were going on. And but then we did a survey of residents to see who knew about all these different options for communication, and it was really interesting, some of the findings. So of 140 respondents, which wasn't great, it would be great if we had more people responding, but I think that's part of our communication challenge is how do we get more communication to residents. So 92% of people were aware of the town website. I'm just gonna give a few examples, of our social media pages, only about 60% were aware. 84% were aware of the events magazine, which is good since that gets mailed to everyone's house, and you think that number would be higher, but, what I think was a little alarming was only 58% were aware of the Stonington Alerts, the Everbridge, so I know we talked about that before the Commission on Aging, but how do we get more people signed up for Everbridge, and if anybody here has ideas on any of this, we would be very grateful for input on improving that. Some of the other interesting things was that, they said almost 83% of respondents said they would find an emailed monthly newsletter very useful. And they said, and about 98% of them said just like a summary of town projects. Another 80.5% said a summary of also board and commission activities. So what we're gonna try and do now is go back and think about, because we have no staff to do this, it's just Stacy and I that would be doing all this. How do we kind of pull this off? And maybe we start small, but try and kind of keep improving on it and think about how do we get more proactive and utilize social media more. We have a town Facebook and Instagram page, but should we be more interactive with it, use it more, be a little braver, and should we do this newsletter? So we're kind of, I think we talked about, we'll pilot the newsletter, take it forward, we'll then do maybe another survey to see how people found it useful or content-wise not useful. I think a concern is always how we be sure we capture all the right information. The department heads are already so overworked, so how do we ask them to provide more information to us on top of what they're already doing? But we're gonna try and pilot something. So that's one thing I think that will be really exciting. And we're also gonna really try and push out more so people are aware of it, and anybody here who wants to help us get the word out would really appreciate it. I don't think most people in town realize that you can sign up to get email updates in your inbox. So again, on the communications tab, you can click and you can pick what you want updates on. So if you want all town news, if you want tax, if you want public works or police, and it can come right to your inbox. And so we hope more people do that, because that's a great way to know what's happening, and we understand you're not gonna always check the town website for every single thing, but you can also get the minutes and agendas of different meetings. So we wanna try and do more to get the word out about what we already have in place, and then maybe do a bit more. But that was kind of the update from them, and they've been a great group kind of coming together to think about things.
So, we had talked at this last meeting about trying to also have kind of like a little overview fact sheet for large projects. Is that something you're looking at, or you're looking at?
We need to talk with Keith, and he's out right now, so, but we are gonna try and look at that kind of in June about the kind of checklist overview, how it, for larger projects.
The routing sheet.
The
Routing sheet, like all the different boards and commissions that an application has to go through, so.
And
So that would also give like the timeline, if somebody was interested in hearing what inland wetlands had to say about a particular project, they could go to that meeting.
Yeah,
So.
to give more heads up. So yeah, we'll look into that, and like you said, if you guys, anybody here has ideas or input, just keeping in mind, we have a really small staff, and, some, big ideas, but it's hard to pull them off sometimes, so, but I think we can take some of this work forward.
No, and actually I think, like, I know that, like Barbara, in the Department of Public Works, she has already, like, the schedule of paving and how they decide the priority of paving. Like, some people say, oh, my road needs to be paved, but there's this analysis they do of the road, of each segment of the road. This is why not the entire road might get paved, but like, things like that. I think there's enough information in all the different departments that's already there that we can pull together.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that could be great. Thank you, right. Okay, so next is we have a resolution for a brownfield grant application. As you guys probably remember, at the last meeting, we did the one for the Stillman Mill assessment grant, and now this one is for the Mystic River Boathouse Park grant. So the resolution will authorize the first selectman to execute and file the brownfield grant application with Connecticut Deep in regards to the Mystic River Boathouse Park. Could I get a motion to approve the resolution?
So
Second?
I second.
Motion second. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion carries. So that's great. So now we can, we're really excited. We're gonna get moving forward on Stillman and the boathouse.
And then how long does it take before we actually get the funding?
We still have a lot of more paperwork to fill out, and we go back and forth, but we're really close.
Okay.
And then, yeah, I think we're really very close to
and
getting it.
I'll comment a little bit about that, but we are
Okay.
moving along.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through.
Okay.
But we will, yeah.
All right.
We'll jump for anything for the money.
All right.
Okay, so the next one is, just a discussion, the municipal acceptance of a partial road parcel at West Enterprise and Parkwood Drive. So Keith Grimes, the town planner, provided us with an overview of this request, noting the developer of Rockridge subdivision has requested the Board of Selectmen accept 2 leftover portions of the roadway associated with that development. All of the roads for this development were supposed to be convened by the town in 2018. However, these 2 portions of West Enterprise and Parkwood Drive were mistakenly left out of the deeds. There's more detail I'm happy to go through, but essentially the town has already been plowing and maintaining these roads since they were, since about 2009. And so both the town attorney and Keith and everyone thinks this is just kind of, we should fix this and move forward. So I'd like to get a motion to accept the partial road parcels at West Enterprise and Parkwood Drive.
So,
Wait a second.
A second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
this really is just a formality.
Yeah, it's just a formality.
I guess my question is, can any of the homeowners come back and say, well, this is my private road?
No, because we've been maintaining it
Okay,
for
all right.
over, yeah,
Okay,
over a decade.
okay, that was my only question, all right.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. Now could I get a motion to approve a building permit fee waiver associated with the roof replacement at the Mystic Fire Department in the amount of $1,068?
So moved.
Second?
I second.
Motion second. Any discussion?
Well, I mean, we normally waive the permit fee for, town buildings and, yeah, so,
Yeah, I think
that, I mean, that's all.
Seems very straightforward, yeah.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. So next one, discussion of the 2022 meeting schedule. Could I get a motion to approve the Board of Selectmen meeting schedule for 2022 for the 2nd and 4th Wednesday of the month at 5:30 at the Stonington Police Department?
So moved.
For your second?
I second.
Motion and second. Any discussion? No? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion carries. Alright, you guys made it this long. So the next item on the agenda is comments from the selectmen. I know you've been geared to go, so do you want to go first this time? Or do you want Deb to go first?
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
You can go first.
Well, I can go first. All right, so I guess the first one I'll do is the Commission on Aging. It was the first Commission on Aging meeting that I attended in person in 18 months. So we were having our meetings now at the Pawtucket Neighborhood Center, which is it's a great space. It's, you know, open enough. So I think one of the big things that came out of the last meeting was there is this organization called Mystic Geriatric Institute, which many of the Commission on Aging members did not know about. Some of them did, but they really focus on the caregiver, where the Commission on Aging focuses on the elderly resident. So there's going to be more collaboration between the two organizations. The Mystic Geriatric Institute does a caregiver conference, and they're looking at doing one in February. So Commission on Aging will also advertise that and be invited to it. But I think it's a great to these are the people who are caring for their elderly parents or loved ones. So I think different activities, instead of there being duplication in all these different areas of town with respect to elderly activities, there's just going to be more collaboration. So that was a great thing that came out of that meeting. We're still working on the trusted contact, right? So for a lot of people who live alone, and they don't get the emergency notifications when the water lines are down, or they need to boil their water, or need to evacuate, that we're looking at coming up with a questionnaire so that there can be a trusted contact. So if somebody living at this house doesn't respond, who can we call to make sure that they're okay? Who can we call? And it would be something that would be set up in our system in the Everbridge, right? In the Everbridge system. So we're still working on that, on how to get as much information as we can with the trusted contact for the seniors that don't have a cell phone or email, or so anyway. So that's Commission on Aging. Okay, planning and zoning. So planning and zoning with our this has to do with our zoning regulations being rewritten. We do have, I've met with Julia Perry, who was on the Climate Change Task Force, and she's really gung-ho to take a look at, like, to interact now at the beginning stages of our planning and zoning rewrite with respect to climate change and sea level rise. And so she is contacting some of the neighboring municipalities who have recently redone their zoning regulations to see what they've done. So we can't be any more lenient than what the federal government or FEMA requires, but we certainly can be more restrictive, especially if it's in our zoning regulations. And that's where charging stations comes in, looking at if there's parking lots that we could put solar arrays over, just more of that. And these are all part of our zoning regulations. So from the climate change aspect, she's going to get involved. She's very eager to do so. So then about climate change task force. So I was very happy that so the climate change task force in prior years with respect to the budget season has already started. I don't know if anybody knows, budget season has already started for the 2022-23 fiscal year. And the first part is gathering up all of the SIP requests. And that deadline was September 30th. So the Climate Change Task Force on September 30th met to approve their SIP requests and to be more proactive at the beginning part of the budget cycle instead of later on when we have the public hearing, which is a little bit too late.
And they came to the SIP public hearing.
And they came to the SIP meeting? Yes, okay, so, which you attended, so, which was really good, so anyway, so Climate Change Task Force, that's what, that was a big thing for them, to put forward at the last meeting and then the SIP meeting, and then I know we're having a joint Climate Change Task Force Board of Selectmen meeting next week.
Yes, Thursday.
On Thursday, which is fantastic. They're all looking forward to that. So I think that's all I have about my update. Police commissions tomorrow night. I think I may have reported on last month's police commission, but that's it. Yeah.
And just so in case you guys are wondering, so when we first took office, we decided to kind of divide up the boards and commissions and try and create sort of liaisons. Like the Board of Finance has liaisons for different town departments or areas of the budget. We wanted to have liaisons for the Board of Selectmen too. Like we said, our 30+ boards and commissions who do such important work and be sure the communication and we were on top of things a bit more. And these two have just been fantastic in their kind of liaison roles.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Could I say something in the direction of communication? I forgot what SIP means.
Oh, yeah.
Luckily,
Oh,
this
sorry.
person just told me. And there are people who might be new to coming to these meetings, and sometimes you guys who use these acronyms, and they're like, oh,
All right, so I'll do that. So I was on the Board of Finance for 9 years, and the SIP is a very big part of the budget. So SIP stands for Capital Improvement Project. So it's not part of our operational expenses. And so these are the one-offs. How much money do we need for paving? How much are we spending on, new police cars, new plowing trucks, so that's the whole SIP schedule. And if you go online, last year's budget that was approved, and actually many of the prior year's budgets that were approved, it's a separate part of the budget. So the approved budgets are all there to see, but like the SIP schedules are on page 120 something. So, and so the SIP requests had to be in by September 30th. So all departments that needed, so I just explain, because I am also the Board of Finance liaison too, so go figure. So the SIP requests have to be in by the end of September, and then there was a meeting last week just to go over like the outside agencies, what their SIP requests were, to rate them. And so SIPs are rated A, B, C, D, E. Do we go E? I don't know if we go E or not. The A means something that's been funded for a number of years. B is urgent. C is needed. D is would like to have something to that effect. So it kind of prioritizes the urgency of this particular capital request. So that meeting happened, so they take a look at the rating, and it comes to the Board of Selectmen, and we look at the dollars and the rating, then it goes to the Board of Finance and they look at the dollars. So it's a very long process. But yeah, so the budget season for the 2022-23 fiscal year has already started. So thanks.
Okay, so as Danielle said, we all are liaisons to various committees, and so I actually have 4 highlights, which is more than I usually have.
I know,
That's
yeah.
mine don't always meet. The first one is the WPCA, and you did mention we had a joint meeting with WPCA, which was
The Water Pollution
Water Pollution Control Authority.
It's where our
We
sewage
were on the
goes.
boards, like, I know, it's the sewage treatment plant. But I had a couple of things I wanted to highlight on that. One of them is, just because people may not realize that, while there still is a moratorium in Mystic because the plant is nearly full, there has been a waiting list of projects kind of waiting to tie into the Mystic sewer. And they started up the line that's taking some of the sewer waste from Mystic and sending it to the borough, which was a long process, but it was approved by the state. And because of that, they did vote to release 50,000 gallons a day of sewage from some of those projects on the waiting list, actually basically the entire waiting list at that date. There are other ones coming in and there will be a new waiting list, but at least it's moving forward. There may be opportunities to release some more, but they want to see how it works with the diversion. And meantime, they're continuing the study of potential sources of infiltration, non-sewage, into the sewer system. You know, is it groundwater leaking in? Is it surface water? Sump pumps? Things that shouldn't be going to the sewage treatment. And then hopefully, I was trying to explain it in like the other thing I just wanted to say is, I did receive a call from their consultant from CDM because we had mentioned that we do have some local groundwater level information, because they were using information from the other side of Groton. Not that it's that far away, but it's not local. And I know we have some shallow wells in Mystic River Boathouse Park and a couple at the town docks. And so I would like, with your permission, we could talk about it, to be able to send them that information. It is public information, it's already gone to the state.
Yes.
Okay.
Then I can see a loop dug in.
I will cover you on that, so that's that. My second comment is for Board of Education. A lot of people probably know this, but for people who didn't, Dr. Riley submitted a letter of resignation yesterday. He will stay until they find a new superintendent. In his comments, he said with 4 new board members that will be coming on in November, he thinks it's a good time for a new board to work to find a replacement. The last couple times we've selected a superintendent, they have had a selection committee that has included members of the public, Board of Finance, Board of Selectmen, and I'm hopeful that that will happen again. In addition.
You're it. Did
Yeah.
they ask her?
Oh, yeah. I was on the last one. I wanted to comment, you know, sometimes it's all happy news. Sadly, the beautification committee does a fabulous job, and they are struggling with damage and vandalism. And last weekend, the planters on Stillman Bridge were vandalized. Some from the committee did repair them, and they're using their own very small budget. It's an ongoing problem, and we love ideas. You know, they love ideas. You know, what is it we can do to help prevent this? They're also looking for volunteers, and they're gladly accepting donations. They do fabulous work around the community. All the planters on bridges, at the police station, other locations, and they do have the ability to accept donations from anyone who would like to help support that effort. Mr. River Boathouse and Stillman, they're moving along. We finally agreed to the agreement today. The DECD, who's the Department of Economic Community Development, I know it's a facility. They have a lot of very specific requirements, and Susan Cullen has been fabulous working with them because, I mean, we have a staff of 1. To help us really understand what they need, because we want to make sure we're doing everything that they want, so there's no glitches in either getting the money or getting reimbursed for anything. So We had originally hoped to be able to use a consultant that previously worked on the project, which would save some time. However, they are not on the pre-qualified DECD list, so we will not be able to use them. We can only use pre-qualified consultants. And we will put out, a request for qualifications to the members of that list, looking for, asking them, how will you help us achieve our specific goals? We want to make sure that the company we hire has, enough staff to handle the project and that they have a licensed environmental professional. Some of those companies on the list do not have LEP's licensed environmental professionals on staff. And I think it's important that they have that, because that's going to be important to direct the remediation project. So that's that. The next comment, I just really wanted to thank all the volunteers. I mean, we are so fortunate as a town to have so many volunteers and have our committees and commissions full. And I love how we have a wide variety of background, depth of experience, and ideas. And, some of these committees, especially the ones that act as advisory to us, they have a huge, width of ideas. And there may be ideas that come up with that we don't like, there may be ideas that we love. But it's great to have that variety, because then you can all talk together and come up with something that's best for the town. And so I just want to say thank you to the volunteers. So, and I promise my last thing, I just want to say October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And I speak from experience saying, don't forget to get your screens, because they really can save your life. So, thank you.
I'll keep mine short because I know it's been a very long meeting. But on the boathouse and Stillman, I just want to say thank you to you. You've been amazing helping Sue and myself and just moving this along, and you've saved the town. I can't even think of how much money, and just how you avoided so many pitfalls, and you've given above and beyond time and effort to these projects, and we're going to keep tapping into you. So thank you so much. I think they're both really exciting projects that we can move forward with. So really quick, I'll just say, we met with SHPO. I don't think I've gotten to update you guys on that. I met with SHPO.
I should let everybody know.
Yeah, SHPO is, that's another.
I'm not going to
What was that one?
State Historic Preservation Office. Oh, no, yeah, state president, yeah. That's why we use the acronym, so we don't have to remember the long one. But we met down at the boathouse trying to kind of, start a new chapter fresh, and talk about, what has to happen with the historic home that's been deemed historic, and how we can move it. And fortunately for the town, the new nonprofit that the Friends of the Stonington Crew formed have agreed to take that house on in terms of their fundraising, in addition to constructing their boathouse. They've agreed to take on fundraising to rehab that house, kind of inside and out, meet SHPO's specifications. They have a huge fundraising goal, so anybody who can help them in any way, sharing things would be great. But I think we're on a better page with SHPO. I think we're moving forward in the right direction. Liz Shapiro, who's the director of the kind of broader umbrella organization at the state, came, and she's Groton resident, so it was wonderful having her there. She was really helpful, as was the representative from SHPO. So I think that's a positive step in the right direction. On the Veterans Monument, mostly Stacy's been doing amazing work on that, just absolutely fantastic. We have a goal still of about $180,000 to raise to build a monument to honor all veterans who've ever called Stonington home, right outside of the police station. We're working with Rich Brooks at Buzzy Memorial to help with the granite component. It was an idea that was brought to us by a local veteran, some of you may know Tony Lombardo. We formed a little kind of informal group to come together once a month and get ideas and do different outreach. Mostly Stacy sent probably over 500 letters. She's applied for 10 grants about. The grants we're still hopeful for, but nothing yet. But so far we've raised $46,000, which is amazing for a town effort led by really one person in front of me. But we still have a long way to go. So again, any ideas? We have set a goal of Veterans Day. We're obviously not going to meet that unless something amazing happens in the next couple of weeks. But we're not giving up. We might be coming forward with a SIP request to the Board of Finance. We'll talk about that at a later date. And but it's just been amazing. It's been great engagement with all different people. And again, we want to kind of bring history to life. It'll be an electronic site. If you don't know about the project yet, you talk to me, or it's all on the town website, but it's really wonderful. This Saturday, there's going to be a Meet Your First Responder Day that will be at the Rossi, kind of just below the Rossi Field parking lot, the Seaport. We'll encourage people to come out and get information on the town website. And then just maybe to end on, we have been making, I think, really good progress on some of our mental health initiatives, the partnership with Human Services, the Warm Shelter in Westerly, New London, a number of different groups. The police team have been absolutely amazing. So we've been focusing a lot on Donahue Park and the Elm Tree Inn. We've gotten now approval. We went to the Elm Tree Inn and met with the owners to do on-site case management once a week down there. Also, about 3 or 4 times a week, different people are going into Donahue Park to kind of do on-site interactions, trying to build trust. Major credit to our police chief, because it was really his idea to spur it forward with a human services approach to try and address this longer term issue. And the fantastic team at Human Services, we've been meeting in this room, some of the chaplains, some of the officers, myself, the team at Human Services has just been fantastic. I think we're making progress. It's slow, it can be really frustrating, steps forward, step back, but they have already engaged a number of people who've agreed to go seek substance abuse treatment. We think it's working, it's just gonna take some time, but we're gonna keep working on it and hopefully we'll keep making strides, especially before winter comes. But again, if people have ideas on that front, we actually, through outreach, we engaged with a great local resident who just happens to have a background in this, and she's been joining some of our mental health calls, trying to help us, just volunteering, the person who interviewed for that like the other week. Residents really, people can make a real difference. So just to reiterate what I think Deb and everybody said, just a thank you to all of the volunteers who have made up our boards and commissions. It's really hard work. We want to be sure they know they're appreciated, and we're not all going to always agree, but we want to respect each other. Anything else?
Yeah. I just want to say, with respect to the Veterans Memorial, there's nearly 7,000 veterans that whose names would go on there, who called Stonington their home.
And we are looking for more names. We know we're missing names.
Yes.
That's been part of Stacy's outreach. Like I said, she sent over 500 letters to people, just saying, we know you had some connection, a former chief of police, Dave Erskine, and helping do a lot of research to identify these people. But we know we're missing names. So if you know of anyone who served in any capacity and has called Stonington home, they don't have to still live here. If they've moved away, let us know. We can add them to the list.
And Deanna, the person who is the new person for mental health, right? It's just that I think it's been pretty consistent. There's between 45 and 47 people a month that she's been assisting.
Referred to just from the police.
That's
Just
been
police
referred to
referral
from the police.
for follow-up. It's been amazing.
Just a quick recommendation. You've raised 46 out of 180. Can we change the thermometer up front?
We keep changing and it keeps bouncing
I-
off.
Oh, okay. I keep driving by and it's so
Stacy's out there at
disappointing.
night.
I go like weekly, and it's the way the sun is hitting it, and it just fades it off, and then I just have to go back and.
I'll give you a little red duct tape. You can coat the red duct
I
tape.
thought about doing duct tape, yeah.
Okay, Dr.
Just, I keep driving by and it's like, I know we're doing better than this.
Sorry, I'm trying.
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you guys. Hope you come back next 2 weeks.
Adjourn?
Yeah,
Okay.
adjourn.
All right.
6:40.